Hi everyone, it's Stephen Downs here again. This is Making a MOOC, episode 17, hard to believe. And in this episode, I hope it won't be too long, I'm going to look at putting the slide presentation onto my presentation page. So I guess we'll just title it Slides or something like that. So here's the story. If we take a look, let's take a look at my screen here. And I'll just make this a bit bigger so it's easier for you to see. This is a presentation page on my home page. And as you can see, the way I do my presentation pages, I sort of spread them out a bit. I make them kind of responsive as well, so that they'll display well. And I put in the video, and I put in slides. And I also have audio. So I wanted to do that for my course as well. The problem is it is a really involved process to do this. Now I was using Slideshare, and I would just embed Slideshare. Slideshare, let's have a look at Slideshare. And in fact, I'll close this, and now I'll reopen it. Oh, I'll have to close, everything. Maybe I won't do that. Oh, I just broke everything, didn't I? Yes, I did. So let's let's go to Slideshare anyways. So here's Slideshare. I really shouldn't have done that, but oh well. So, and we see different presentations. So, and you can embed it and scroll it. But I haven't really been pleased with Slideshare because it was so described, and I'm not confident that Scribed will allow people to keep viewing content. And in fact, when I've tried this before, I get a little pop-up window that shows up. That's why I was trying to close Firefox, to close it and then reopen it to get the pop-up window to come up again. But all I did there is eliminate the pages that I had set up for this particular video. So that wasn't too smart. So I removed all the Scribed, and I instead used Microsoft. I figured, okay, it's PowerPoint. I'll use Microsoft OneDrive. So here we have Microsoft OneDrive, personal cloud storage, Canada English. I guess I'll have to sign in again. And it remembers who I am. That's nice. So here are the presentations. Now, and as you can see, all of my presentations from over the years are on OneDrive. And so all I need to do to make it visible, you see what it's doing here, it's converting my file so I can edit it. Now this is a kind of a problem right off the bat. We'll come back to that. But then once I've done that, what I have to do is open it up like this, click Share, click Embed, and generate an HTML code. There's the HTML code, and then copy and paste this to my site or blog. Now, when I did it with Slideshare before, we'll go into Grasshopper, and we'll pop into my presentation view. So let's go down here, list view. So what I would do is I would create a view, an HTML view for a presentation, and then now this is the Microsoft OneDrive version, but basically I'd put an iframe, embed and then code, embed whatever, and then code equals, and then slides code or slideshare or whatever. That could be my template, and I just need to do that once, and then whenever I saved the presentation, I just made sure I got the code from Slideshare, put it in there, and I was done. So that worked pretty well, and I didn't need to do anything other than upload my presentation to Slideshare. When I went over to Microsoft, well, I sort of tried to do the same thing. It wasn't that simple to do, but here I have presentation slide player, because what I had to do with Microsoft is, we'll list the presentations here and we'll find one that I used, is I had to generate this code, and it's different for different sizes, it's different for different presentations. Obviously there's an author key, a res ID, whatever that means, a CID, which I assume is my slides, I don't know. Oh, resolution ID, because they can't just define the resolution. And I had to generate it each time for each one of these things, and there was no guarantee it wouldn't go away, because it's not a permanent embed. So that's a lot of work. And then when I actually went to display the presentations, well, this is my default no slides slide, so I guess that's not a good example. But here we go. Now, look how long this is taking to load. Horrible. Just horrible. So I wasn't happy with that either. And worst of all, let's go to where I keep my presentations, because I set it up to share on OneDrive. Good plan, right? Backups of everything, right? Well, no. Here they are. Sorry, PowerPoint can't read it. And PowerPoint can perfectly well read it. The problem is it doesn't exist on my local drive at all anymore. It exists only in the cloud, and the cloud insists on reformatting my presentation so it can be read. Oh, it can be read. It doesn't need to be reformatted. It can be read. I can take any of... Fortunately, I have copies of all of these on my website, and that's how I know. I can download a copy from my website and open that with PowerPoint. Works just fine. So it has everything to do with Microsoft putting my slides in the cloud. So using Microsoft means that my personal access to my own slides is via Microsoft's cloud service, and by default it's removed all the slideshows from my desktop, made them impossible to open. Not an acceptable solution. So what I decided to do is use PDF. PDF is a much more open format, but how to get this kind of result with PDF? Now, I did a bit of searching around, and so let me just, again, I just finished removing the page and found Mozilla's PDF. Oh, jeez. It interpreted that as an address, is what happened. Found Mozilla's PDF.js, bit of JavaScript. So let's take a look here. So here's the online demo. We'll go to the online demo. This is what it looks like. So that's pretty nice. There's also some examples. And here we go. Interactive examples here. This is beautiful. This is what I used mostly, was this example page, because you know, just seeing the PDF inside a browser like that wasn't really helpful. But seeing some of the examples, that was helpful. So here we go. So we come down here to interactive examples. Here's a hello world example. There's the JavaScript. There's the HTML. Just this. Really nice. The CSS is completely optional in this case, and here's what it looks like. So that's pretty nice. That's kind of what I wanted. So, but I discovered when I used just this was that all I got was the cover page for my PDF slides. So the PDF is actually converted into PDF data, which is this blob here, and each page is loaded separately. So the script is actually going to be going out, loading a page, storing it, going out, loading another page, storing it, and all that has to be handled by the script. So long story short, here's a previous / next example. There's the JavaScript. You can see it's more involved, right? And there's the HTML. Not as involved, but I got previous next buttons. So I could probably put them wherever I want, and I'm sure I will. CSS, a little less optional, but still kind of optional. And here's the result. And this is beautiful. This is just what I wanted, except, you know, it's kind of in this little tiny box here, but still beautiful. So I messed around a bit, and I got it working on the ethics website. And so we'll go to that. So that's ethics.mooc.ca/ple.html. So what I did is I created a temporary test page. So where's that page? Well, we'll list the pages, and what did I call it? I think I just called it PDF.js or something like that. PDF test. So here it is. So here's what it looks like in Grasshopper. So you see here's the CSS. I just put it at the top of the page. The script from Mozilla. I actually tried downloading all of the script, putting it on my own website, and just calling it from there, and I got a mismatch between the version of this script and the version of some builder. So there's two PDF script or two JavaScripts that have to work together. The versions mismatched. So bummer. So I'm not sure. I mean, again, this is the same problem I've had with other JavaScripts from other providers, where I need to figure out how to use Grunt or whatever to have that installation automated for me, so that I'm not storing all the code on my own server somewhere, and I'm not downloading code from external applications like this, because I don't want to. Because every time you do this, you create the possibility of tracking, you create the possibility of the cloud resources not being there. You make it impossible to run on your own desktop without internet access, etc. So I always prefer to have all of the JavaScript code right handy, but I wasn't able to do that here. So I need to figure that out. So now here is the page, right? There are my buttons, and there's the page, and now here's the script. Little point of note, I used to have the page, this stuff, down at the bottom, and I got an error, and the error said basically all of this down at the bottom, and it said Canvas doesn't exist. This declaration has to load before the script does. So however I load my script, it's got to be after this. And what I did is I just created a script tag in my page code, and then I took that script, and when I say I took that script, I took this script exactly. And in fact, all I did is I copied it and pasted it. And I put it into here. And scrolling down, you can see there it is. It goes all the way down to the bottom. And then I made the one change, just one little change. And it's right up at the top, the URL for the presentation that I want to show. So there it is. It's one from this course. So now I'll publish this page so that we can see it. So I'll open it up, and here we are. There's my PDF presentation, and I will say it looks beautiful, and it easily pages back and forth. Even has a little page counter for me. So now I'll probably move these to the bottom. Pretty sure I will. So the next step is, how do I make this work so that this is all automatic? So that it displays properly. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm going to create a box. And what I'm going to put in that box is the script. So let's come back to the page. We'll edit the page. I'm going to take this out here. Do I want to do it like that? Yeah, I do. I'm going to do it like this. And then I'll just close this script. It doesn't matter if I do this, right? It's all script. But now what I can do, this is going to be the same everywhere I use this. Absolutely everywhere I use this. So I'm going to take this, remove it from here, and I'm going to create a box that I'll just put in here. And in fact, I'll put it right here. Box PDF.js. And now I'll make a box, new box, PDF.js is what I'll call it. And I'll put the script in there, and there we go. And so now I'll test this to make sure it works. So I'll list page, and now the page we were just working with, which is PDF test. Here it is. We'll publish that again. We'll open it again. And I can't imagine it not working, and it does. Oh, there's a little right there. I wonder what's causing that. So that's something to look at. Just can't have nice things. What was there before? Nothing. Previous, next. AA page 3 to 16. So it's taken something there, but it still works. But I don't know what's there. So let's look at that box again. Oh, actually, let's look at the page first, because we're here. So page. Yeah, it looks pretty normal. Span ID equals page number. Span ID equals page count. Span. Looks like an extra span. I don't know why, but yeah, that does look like an extra span for sure. So let's remove that because I'm pretty sure I don't need that. Now we'll test the page again, just in case I'm wrong. And I'll just reload this. Yeah, I still have that. Still works fine. So let's go to the box. List box. And this is PDF.js. Now, where will it be in the code? That's a darn good question. It's going to render it. Page numbering. Render page, page numbering. I have no idea why it does it. That's really weird. Could not say why it does that. So I might have to go back, but let's look at the source and see if we can't figure it out from that. View, selection, source. Previous next examples. It's the non-breaking spaces. Okay. Okay, so it's on the page after all. Okay. I see what happened. Yeah, that's an issue with Grasshopper generally, is that it doesn't like non-breaking spaces. That's why I couldn't find it. Okay, so let's go back to the page. We'll fix that and then we'll move on. So yeah, that's an ongoing problem for me. That and line breaks and special characters generally, it's a real pain to deal with all of that stuff. So we'll come here. Yeah, see, we don't even see them. If we looked, so, but I'll bet you if we do that, we're going to get a different result. I'll bet you. Publish. Isn't that crazy? I have to remove something invisible to get that. Right, I see, and now I end up, it's crushed right up against it. So, and that's why it was specified non-breaking page, non-breaking space, but I'll just put one space in there and that'll have to do. So, let's see, put space there, put a space there, put a space after the span, space after the button. All of that should do the trick for me, I think. And it's a little thing, but it's these little things make a big difference. No, still nothing after between the next and the page. Page, edit. So where's the next? Here it is. There. Let's try that. Style equals margin left 10px. There. That'll definitely do it for us. Publish. Yeah, that's the thing about making templates, right? You need something like that. You just throw it in. There we go. Doesn't that look nice? All right, and I'll probably put, like I said, I want to put these below anyways, but okay. So now let's look at this code here. And what we want, we still have a fair amount of code here, but we're going to need this, pretty much all of this. Yeah. So I'm going to take all of this code, and now we're going to go to the presentation view. List view and filter view, just to save us clicking through a bazillion times. Okay, presentation, HTML, and now where the Microsoft stuff used to be, see if Microsoft and all of that, so, and Microsoft OneDrive, so where all that used to be, and I'm going to leave that in there just for now, just in case, I'm going to put in this code, So a little style. Then the script, we'll call the script itself only on the presentation page, right? Because we won't need it elsewhere. And I'm not going to need a heading anymore. I am going to need the previous and next buttons, but I'm going to want them at the bottom. So after the canvas, all right. And then the little script here, I don't need this commentary anymore, so I'll remove it. And what I do need is the URL for the presentation, but that's going to be simply presentation. So presentation, what I think it's URL. Now, right now, well, let's just leave this for now, just to make sure that it's working. Let's not do too many things at once here. So, see, all of this now is going to go inside this here. So it should, like, the presentation will expand to 100%, but it'll only expand as wide as the space it has. So actually now I'll remove this Microsoft stuff because I don't like it. And now that should work. So let's have a look at one of the presentations. Doesn't matter which one, because they're all going to come up. All right, so that's a little wide. But it works. So we'll have to pull that back a bit. I don't know why it's wide. It shouldn't be. That's kind of weird. Let's see if we can't figure out why it's so wide. Width equals, because I've specified the canvas width is something absolute. So let's come back here to the canvas. It's not specified here. It's not specified here. Let's do it like this. Style equals width 100%. Let's put a semicolon there. Control S. Oh, I don't need a Control S. All right. Now let's see how that looks. Yeah, that's better. It is 100%. Let's pull that back ever so slightly so that we get a bit of a gutter there. So instead of 100%, we'll make the width, let's say, 95%. So let's try that. Oops, that's not it. Okay. There, that's a bit better. Could probably go a bit more, say 98%, and line those up a bit better. Again, yeah, here, just trying to make it a little more beautiful. There, and that lines up beautifully. See, this is good design, right? You know, your line across the top lines up, your vertical line lines up. In my ideal world, this would either be boxed or it would line up too. I could probably do with formatting these buttons, but yeah, it's a format that's pretty consistent throughout the website. So the audio's down there. I can get rid of this now. I don't need that. And it all pretty much fits on a single page. In fact, it virtually does. If I was at full screen width, it would fit. And I just slightly off. Eh? Oh well. Still good enough. And I can go like this now. So, and now that works. Beautiful. So, how to do this for all of them now is the question. So, I need to go back in here, and first of all, I need to have PDFs of all my presentations. I've been saving them as PowerPoint, but what I'll do is I'll simply save them as PDF. So I'll save one, what we mean by ethics. That's one I was doing recently. So we'll save it as PDF. So save it as PDF. So it'll be ethics B. Now, there's a way to make PDFs easier for people with disabilities to read. So I'm missing some alternative text. So these are things that I should be attending to, which I haven't attended to, but this is very good advice and I should follow it. But that's a different video. So file save as PDF. Right, PDF, save, would be in the same spot. Okay, so now we'll come to my presentation page. So let's list the presentations. Oh, that's my home site. That's not the one I want. So make list presentation. So that was this one that we mean by ethics. So we'll upload the file. Browse. So it's in here, data D, OneDrive, presentations. See, I'm worried that Microsoft will steal these now too, right? So ethics B PDF, we'll open it, we'll upload it. Take a few seconds, there it is. I want to build one of those little timers. I used to have a timer, but it was so awkward and hard to do, and I don't really know how to build them myself. It was a Jquery timer. So now, this is a bit of a kludge right here, but I'm going to edit. I'm going to copy the actual URL, and then I'm going to go back into the presentation page, and I'm going to paste the URL into here. Now, that's because this is an old bit of Grasshopper. The slides are not associated with the presentation using the graph. I just have it hard-coded in here. What I need to do is have it so that if I just upload the presentation, it's automatically associated with, if I upload the PDF, it's automatically associated with the presentation so that when it displays, it will display that particular file. Haven't done that yet. It won't be a whole lot to do that, but it's one of these things that'll take a couple hours maybe to write the code to make that happen. But anyhow, now, so which number is this? Let's just test what presentation number this is. No, presentation 8. So let's test and see if that works. So ethics.mooc.ca/presentation/8. And I know it will work. Oh, but I have to now go back in. Right, I have to finish my template because I left my template a little bit uncompleted, my view more accurately. So ID, title, presentation. So here it is. So now instead of the absolute URL, which I'm using here, I'll just use the presentation URL. And once I have these things associated, my in fact, it's probably going to be pretty easy to do because I don't need to change anything. I'll just use a keylist command. But let's test this for now. All right. Okay, it's done. I just need to reload this. What do we mean by ethics? And we don't see it. Why not? That's a mystery. Let's have a look at the page source. That should have worked. I'm actually quite surprised that it didn't. It might be because it's the wrong. Right. Oh yeah, it's gonna be. I've done this wrong. It shouldn't be presentation URL. It should be presentation slides. Now we'll test it. There we go. And now we have our slides. And it looks beautiful. It looks way nicer than it ever did as either Slideshare or Microsoft. This looks way better, at least to my mind. Still kind of a busy page, but that's because there's a lot going on here. I'd like to line up this title a little bit better. This lines up okay. Everything lines up okay except the title and then the top of the banner. So I'd like to line those up a bit better, but yeah, we're still fine. Okay. So yeah, now like I said, I'd like it to work by key list. Now here, the way I've set it up, because I've been uploading it using the upload function, the file actually is associated with the presentation. So if we look at the presentation, let's look at the presentation. Let's look at the presentation maybe in a different window, so we have this window to come back to. Here we go. Make list presentation. So this is the one we've been working on. So we do have this associated. In fact, now we've got the PowerPoint, the MP3, and the PDF, right? All associated. So that's nice. That means I can use a key list command in my template and not just a regular fill in the variable command, and it should still work. So how am I going to do that? So let's come here. URL equals presentation slides. So what I want, so key list. So the database that we're working with is presentation. And I always forget how this works. So that's why I don't expect anyone else to ever remember. I mean, I wrote this stuff and I always forget how it works. So I really need a help thing or something. Summary, presentation. Here we go. DB equals presentation. All right. ID equals, and then presentation ID. So where did it go? Presentation. I've lost it here. Oh yeah. Okay. ID equals presentation ID. And then the next thing we need to specify is the key table, which is file. Key table equals file. Okay. And then next, we want the format for that file. And what would the format for that file be? All we want to return here is the URL. That's all we want. So we'll call format, we'll just call it equals URL. And that's it. That's all we need. And so we'll close this. Now, URL format for files doesn't exist yet, so we'll make that as well. So we'll make a new view, file URL, and all it'll do is give us the URL. I'm pretty sure it's URL, right? Let's just check to be sure. URL, yep. So because that's all I want, right? No processing needed. All right. So let's see now, when I look at this, the way I've done it, I should just see the file URL underneath here. And there it is. Oh, I'm getting all 3 files. So I don't want all 3 files. I just want the PDF. So let's go back to the view. Yeah, I know. I wish I could just click back and go back to where I was. What I need to do there is keep a history of where these panes were, and then have a little back arrow inside the pane itself. If I do a back arrow here, it takes the whole page back, and I don't want to do that. So let's list view. Well, I could do that, but then I'd go to whatever I was looking at before I started looking at Grasshopper. So another thing that's on the list, right? So, okay, so filter view, title equals presentation. All right, presentation HTML. So what should work, I think it works. So I want the URL, that's the field that I'm interested in, to contain PDF. And in fact, .pdf, let's be precise. So now let's have a look, see if that works. Didn't. Why not? Should have. Should have. Maybe it's being messed up because of the dot. Yeah, it is, because it's a regular expression search. Let's try escaping that dot. Whoops, that's not how to do it. That's not how to do it. Oh, jeepers. Oh, duh. All right, let's try that. No, that still didn't. So let's try PDF. The problem is if I do it like this, and then if I have another file that has PDF somewhere in the file name, it'll still bring it up, right? So let's try this. It's still not working. Well, why not? I don't know. So this isn't working, but this is how it should work. And the way it really should work is I do that so that I'm looking for this string .pdf, and then it should only return these things. And yet it doesn't. We can see this. Let's look at a view for a post, and we'll see this in action. Let's look at a view for a page, like a newsletter page. Let's actually look at a newsletter page. So let's look at, because I use this all the time in my pages, list page. So let's look at our newsletter. So here we are. Okay, oh, I'm using the actual equal sign there. Is what I'm doing. But I'm pretty sure I do a regular expression search if I just stick in the tilde in there instead. Yeah, here it is right here, right? Title, description, category contains the tag. And so that does work. I know it works because I've seen it. So that same approach should work here for our presentations. It doesn't, so that's a problem I'll have to fix. I'll have to go into the code and look at it. But you get the idea of what I'm trying to do here now. And maybe I should do a whole separate thing on key lists, but because I'm working with a graph with the key list instead of just the raw data that's in the record. But the idea here is I find the URL, there it is, from the record, and then I use that URL to put the PDF into this particular part of the web page so that you can scroll through it. Much better, to my mind, than using the Slideshare or the Microsoft PowerPoint way of doing this. Way more elegant. I love this personally, and so I'm going to be doing this for all of my, not just for this course, but I'm going to go back to my own website and recover all of my presentation files from Microsoft. There's some 500, 600 of them. Convert them to PDF and then use the PDF to display. So that's going to be a bit of a task. I'll have to do it over a period of time. It'll take months to do. But then once it's done, it'll be done, and I'll never have to adapt to the weirdness of a cloud provider again. So that's it for presenting the slides. I hope you found that interesting, even though it didn't work in the end with this bit in the bottom here. But it will work, and by the once I get this all done, it'll actually save me quite a bit of time when I'm preparing my presentations, because all I have to do is upload the associated file and it'll display in the right place on my page. And I'll be doing that. Well, I am doing that with images now, and I'll be doing that more and more with other types of files. So similarly with the audio file, and even with the video file, at some point what I want to do, right, is eliminate my dependence on YouTube and just show the video from somewhere, and then I can just have independent storage, and then yay, no YouTube tracking either. No YouTube dependencies, no concerns about watch on YouTube or other kinds of advertisements showing up on my videos. You just see my videos. Downside of that, no exposure either. So I probably still want to put my videos on YouTube, and I'll still have a YouTube link on my presentation page, but on my page itself, I'll just have the video. I suppose that's what I'll do. Because YouTube has decided that even when you declare your upload, well, you can't declare your upload non-commercial. So even if you're not participating in Google's revenue program, where they share the revenue with you from advertising, they still can, and sometimes do, throw advertising into your videos. Not what I want. That's, again, that's a barrier to open, not part of open. That's it for this video. I'm done it. It's been almost an hour for a pretty simple thing, really, but I think it was well worth spending the time to think about and talk about. Talk to you all later. I'm Stephen Downs.